Mansfield.
I've mentioned Doom a lot in previous videos. I've done videos about the game, and I've specifically played the PlayStation version of Doom for a bunch of different bits and pieces over the years. There's plenty of footage on my hard drives, basically. I've nattered on about Doom, specifically on PS1, a lot, and I've wanted to put together a video on it for a long time. But when something's that big, when it's a game that genuinely means that much to you, where do you even start? What do you focus on? Where do you go with the narrative arc in your script? How do you do a game as personally important as Doom on PlayStation justice in a silly little video? It's been overwhelming. And it means I've put off doing any specific video on the game for a long time, like actual years. But then, in the middle of 2022, I had an idea. I'd go through them all. Every version of Doom on the PlayStation, and there's more than you might think. And I go into the details on them, their backgrounds, what they did well, what they failed at, their impact on the wider world, and it got away from me again. It suddenly became too big, too ambitious a project for my addled mind to accept, to get to work on. So I pared it back. I eliminated the plan from my mind and instead I just sat down and started writing this script as a stream of conscious sort of thing, tapping the words as they came to me and not letting mere things like planning and having a cogent idea get in the way of just putting something out there. Something that says definitively and in a focused-ish manner that I genuinely love Doom on PlayStation. I adore it. It changed my life. It's one of the best games ever made, and I honestly prefer it to the technically more adept PC version. The original PlayStation console released towards the end of 1995 in the US and Europe, and shortly afterwards yet another port of Doom landed on the machine. The game had come to PC first in 1993, then had been ported to Mac, Sega's 32X, the Japan-only PC-98 and Atari's Jaguar in 1994, and shortly before its PS1 release the game had been rather improbably ported to the SNES. That is to say, it wasn't a new concept for Doom to be ported to things. Just like these days it's not a new concept for people to get the game to a playable state in the reflection of a puddle or on the surface of the moon, or for Doom to be powered by potatoes. One of those is genuine, by the way. So Doom arriving on console was something celebrated, an amazing game coming to a wider audience, always fantastic. But it wasn't necessarily expected to be much beyond what we'd seen before. It was based on the Jaguar port, which had been fine. It wouldn't be coded by id Software itself, which was worrying. And it was replacing the original incredible music with a brand new score, which was heresy. Technologically, the PS1 wasn't a patch on PCs of the day, so of course Doom wouldn't run as quickly or smoothly as the original, and yeah, it all just came together in a bundle of reduced expectations. I think it's fair to say that. There was excitement, sure. High expectations, not so much. Just another pared back port. And objectively speaking, Doom on PS1 was a pared back port. It didn't run as quickly and as smoothly as the original. Multiplayer was limited to 2 players and you needed 2 PS1s, a link cable, 2 TVs, and actually only 1 copy of the game if you used the swap trick like I used to, because the game loaded the entire level into RAM so it didn't need the disc once it had shunted the map into the console, meaning you could get by with just 1 copy of the game. Where was I? Yeah, so on paper it wasn't as technically accomplished, it wasn't as good as the PC version. But Doom on PS1 was an incredibly intelligent port. It leaned into its limitations and utilised its additions to shift things, to change the game from one thing to another. The PC original was a quick-paced run-and-gun first-person shooter, verging on hyperactive at times and, while fairly atmospheric, not something you'd shit yourself raw at while playing. The PS1 port suffered from a bit of slowdown, its frame rate not being as high or consistent as on PC. As a result, it became a slightly more plodding, slower affair. There was also that new musical score alongside new sound effects and the like. So it was this slightly slower game, combined with music that shunted the feeling of the original from blazing fast MIDI metal to, well, a mood, fear, distress, a gosh darn baby crying, the howling of demons, warped God knows what. This combination of speed and audio made PS1 Doom into something eerie and unsettling. It changed the entire pitch of the game, moving it from a frantic shooter to pretty much an outright horror game. And it was brilliant for it. Levels were darker, some technical limitation or something, and there was plentiful use of coloured lighting to add to the ambience. The PS1's RAM couldn't handle too many enemies at one time, so rather than getting a bunch of cyber demons thrown your way, you get one every now and then, making these encounters with bigger enemies rare and all the more terrifying for it. Even something as basic as transparencies came into play. The original wibbly-wobbly, easily seen, invisible pig demons were replaced by often genuinely hard-to-see invisipigs, meaning these sods could actually sneak up on you or surprise you if you weren't entirely focused on looking for their predator-like shimmer. All of it, cutbacks and the odd improvement, coalesced into the finished, wonderful port. I honestly struggle to think of a port or a sequel or a revision of a single game that has so successfully, so smartly shifted the entire vibe of the game through just a few changes, and mainly through the music. I loved Doom on PC. I fondly remember playing it on my mate's dad's computer. He was the only person I knew at the time with a PC because his pop was an accountant or something. We loved playing it. We'd sit in assembly at junior school making the noises from the game at each other. He'd say my name as though he was a zombie troop and teachers had no bloody clue what we were doing. Genuinely, I still remember him sitting there going, It was a delightful obsession. I was desperate for my own Doom though, and it was that 1995 port that brought the magic home to me. And home to me in a way I never expected it. Doom on PS1 isn't the original game. It isn't the best port, having been bettered by the perfect ports in later years. On paper, it suffered a lot of cutbacks. I didn't even mention there was no nightmare difficulty or arch-vile enemy type, or that plenty of levels were completely excised owing to technical worries. But it ended up so much more than the sum of its parts, a port almost entirely perfectly tweaked to fit the target format, and seriously, Jesus crikey, home to one of the best tonal pivots I've ever seen. Yes, I keep rattling on about it, but there's a good reason I sat down to grab some footage of PS1 Doom for this video, and literally ended up playing the whole game from start to finish over a couple of weeks. It's incredible. It's one of the best ports of Doom, one of my favourite games ever made, and I just really bloody love it a lot, so I had to do some kind of video on it before the world sets alight and our sky looks like that animated fire one they introduced in this version of the game. Just complete and total bliss. And happily, it wasn't all of the Doom on Sony's first console. So I mentioned there are more versions of Doom on PlayStation than you might know of, so it is fair to go back to that for a second. Always shitty to be left hanging after all. See, the original game got itself a follow-up a year after it released in the arse end of 1996. Final Doom wasn't a sequel, more a mission pack. It brought levels from, well, Doom mission packs on the PC. And while there was a modified engine behind it all, it didn't change much else. You could use the mouse, different skyboxes. I think the Super Shotgun sprite was redrawn between the US and European versions. I don't know, it's irrelevant crap like that you'll find endlessly discussed on Doom World and its ilk. Important thing was, I didn't care about Final Doom. I still don't, and I still feel it was a cheap and cheerful and not wholly unwelcome addition to the Doom on PlayStation pantheon. It just felt like a facsimile of the original. No, not that. It felt like a bit of a cash grab, hastily thrown together where the original PS1 Doom felt like a bit of a labour of love. So Final Doom never triggered anything particularly positive in me. And yeah, playing it for some footage here, I wasn't drawn in like I was with OG Doom to finish the entire thing. It was fine. Absolutely fine. But then we pivot to the ones you actually might not expect, given Final Doom was a full and official PS1 release. First, a Russian hacked version named Doom Forever. This is nothing more than a novelty, to be honest. It was pressed on disc and packaged to be sold around Russia, albeit in an unofficial fashion, and the game itself is, well, it's bad. Real bad. But hey, I can just let you stare at it a bit instead of wasting time elaborating on why, can't I? Yeah? Okay. And then we have something I absolutely love, wholeheartedly and without a single smudge of irony on show. PlayStation Doom Master Edition. I found this hack of PS1 Doom when I had the brain thought of, I wonder if anyone's put the missing levels from OG Doom into PlayStation Doom. I genuinely had this thought 1 week before the 4th beta of Master Edition release, which followed a 3-year wait, so good timing on my brain's part for once. So what is it? Well, it's an attempt by a dedicated group of heroes to bring all the missing levels from Doom and its various mission packs, mods and monsters to the PlayStation, in the original PS1 style, in both the original and final Doom PS1 engines, and with a lot of the original PS1 foibles. It's fan-made, it's still in its beta, and it has issues, but it's already absolutely fantastic and finally makes Doom complete on the PlayStation. You've the Doom and Doom 2 levels missing from the PS1 port, the Icon of Sin and Arch Vials are restored, analog controller support is added in, secret enemies like the Wolfenstein SS officers are introduced, loads of other stuff I can't remember is thrown in there, and you get the expansion pack levels not included in Final Doom or anywhere previously on PS1, from Master Levels, TNT Evolution, the Plutonia Experiment, No Rest for the Living, and even John Romero's fairly recent release, Sigil. That last bit gave me an actual pang of glee when I saw it pop up on the title screen. A pang, I say. And it works. It does. There are problems with slowdown and the odd glitch here and there, things to be ironed out, I'm sure, but it brings the whole effing Doom to PlayStation, and it means there is finally everything official, in air quotes, from Doom here on the little grey box that for some reason is still in my living room in 2022, soon to be 2023. Which is the 30th anniversary of the original Doom's release on PC. Well, shit. I can honestly say I'll still be playing Doom in 30 years, unless I die in some kind of carpentry-related incident, and I'll be doing everything in my power to make sure it's the PlayStation version. Doom is one of the most important games ever made when it comes to video games as a whole. Doom on PlayStation is one of the most important games ever made when it comes to me as a whole. I bloody love Doom. So thanks for listening to me waffle about Doom. And special thanks to my patrons on Patreon who are like my children, even though I'm pretty sure most of them are too old to actually be that, at least in the biological having children sense. Oh. You can join the Bransfield Easter family through the link below, but for right now, here's the gang. I'm off to carve my Doom PS1 passwords into a stone tablet and bury them in the woods nearby for future generations to discover. Bye!